everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this session, we will talk about list data type in Python. Okay, first we have to know what is a list. List is a built-in data type which represents a collection of elements. That means it is developed by the Python developers. That is why built-in and it can contain any number of elements. Next, lists are versatile and can contain different data types. That is why it is known as a heterogeneous. Let me show you. Suppose if you write L equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever, how many number of elements you can store in a single place. That is what is known as list. If I write print L, the list will be printed. Okay. Now why versatile? Here I have written integer. Now I can write string also. If I write Python, see, the same list can contain integer, string, any data type, even function. We studied about that in our function class. That list can contain function also because that is also a data type. That is why it is known as heterogeneous. Okay. Next, lists are defined by square brackets. You can see that square bracket is used to define a list. Now we will understand what is the difference between array and list. Array also contain many number of elements. List also can contain any number of elements. Okay. First, let me show you that how array works. When you define an array, a memory block is created. Now suppose I write int array 4. That means the array will contain 4 elements and the elements will be integers. Okay. So I can write here 1, 2, 3, 4. So a block of memory is created and the numbers are stored. Okay. But what about list? List directly doesn't store the data. Instead, when I write L equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, it first saves 1 in a memory. Let's say 100. When I declare 2, it is allocated in a separate memory. It may be 200. Next, when I declare 3, let's say 300 memory location. Now if I write 4, that can be stored in another memory location, 400. Okay. Now when the list is created, the memory address are stored instead of the values. You get my point. The difference between the array and the list. Array means the values are directly stored. But in list, the values are stored in a memory location. But the memories are stored in the list. So instead of values, the memories are stored in the list. And that is why list is known as referential array. Now what is 100? 100 is the memory location of value 1. 200 means memory location of value 2. 300 means memory location of value 3. 400 means memory location of value 4. Let's visualize this by doing coding. If I write print id of list. id function gives us the memory address of the list. This is the memory address of the list. But if I print id l of 0, now what will happen? Different address. This is the memory address of 1. Now if I write print id of 1, see this will be same because this is the memory location of value 1. Same way if I write 1, now see what will be the value? Different one. And if I write print id of 2, okay. So L of 1 means the second element 2, the memory location of 2, and id of 2 means the memory location of 2. So it is giving us the same value. But what is the memory location value of L? That is a different value. The value of the list, the memory location of the list, that is 192.192 592. 1 is stored in 592. Next, it is containing 624, 59. Now in 592, the value of 1 is stored. Separate memory location 624. And here the value 2 is stored. So this is the mechanism of list. Now it's clear the difference between array and list. Array is fixed. See, the array is fixed, but list is dynamic. That means we can add new numbers also. Second, array is homogeneous, but list is heterogeneous. Because if I want to store a string here, they have a different size. Integer has a different size and string has a different size. So we cannot just store it here because it is already allocated. But in case of list, we can store a string here like Python, and it may have a separate memory location, maybe 600. Now we are storing the address of the memory in the list. So no problem. Whenever we are trying to access 600, it will go to the 600 and it will bring Python. That is why it can contain heterogeneous elements. Next, speed of execution. Speed of execution of list is slow. Why? Because first it has to go for the address value. Then it has to look for the value in that address. So that is why it has to work more and the speed of the execution is slow. That is why Python is slower. It's a kind of disadvantage of Python. But here it is not like that. You can directly access the value. So it is much faster. Next one is memory. See, you can also say that in Python, more memory is used in comparison with array. Here only 1, 2, 3, 4, one block is enough, but here you have to locate a block for address and then a different block for storing the value. So memory is also much used in case of making a list. Okay, now you have a clear idea about the difference between an array and a list. This is an introduction session of the list. In our next session, we will study how to create a list and other topics related to list. Okay, till then, bye. Happy learning.